The show begins with an ambulance speeding down the street, trying to save the life of a young man who attempted to fly. But by the time he reaches the hospital, it's too late. He's already dead. The doctors are baffled. Why would someone young and healthy do something like that? They examine his body and notice all his organs are intact, and his physique is exceptionally strong. They also discover he has no family or relatives to claim him, so they make a decision. They should make use of his body to save others. They extract his organs and donate them to people in need. In total, 6 organs are taken, the maximum any human body can donate. The surgeries are performed, and the team is left exhausted, still wondering how his body was so unusually tough. The man's physique was so strong that he couldn't even breathe. The man's body was so strong that scalpels broke during the operation. Suddenly, a nurse bursts out of the operating room, screaming in terror. The team rushes back in to find the room in chaos. The man's body is evaporating under the hospital sheet, and a tattoo on his arm is fading away. Everyone is horrified by what they see. They're convinced they've just witnessed a ghost, and flee the room in fear. A week later, we meet a beautiful girl named Minsu, who's recovering in the hospital with her father by her side. We learn that she received the heart of that mysterious young man. The doctor is shocked that she's not feeling any pain. Typically, after a heart transplant, the body should react or feel some pain from rejection, but she says she feels amazing, better than ever. With no symptoms or concerns, the doctor discharges her. Minsu is thrilled, and heads to a restaurant with her father to celebrate. While eating, her dad is surprised by her increased appetite. He also notices a strange tattoo on. She says it showed up after the operation, and assumes it's just a side effect, thinking the doctors probably did it during surgery, so she doesn't pay it much attention. Minsu then tells her dad she wants to resume training in boxing, as her dream is to become an Olympic champion, but her father refuses. He breaks down in tears, reminding her that both her mother and grandmother died from heart conditions, and he's terrified she'll suffer the same fate. Minsu agrees to stop, just to avoid hurting him emotionally. Later, she joins her father and says, "That's okay, I'm fine." After a long day of training, she decides to return to her father at his boxing gym, where he coaches kids. She watches from the sidelines, disappointed she can't box anymore. Her dad gives her money for a taxi and tells her to go home on her own. While he changes his clothes, Minsu sees a child training alone. She decides to show off a move while her dad isn't watching. She jumps into the air and kicks the punching bag. But to her shock, the bag flies across the gym and explodes from the sheer power of her kick. Her dad rushes in after hearing the noise. Minsu panics. Minsu panics and quickly points at the child, pretending he was the one who did it. "Wow, this kid's gonna have a bright future," she says before running away, afraid he might realize she was lying. Confused about her newfound strength, Minsu tries to shake it off, thinking the bag was faulty. Later, she sees a group of schoolgirls walking together. She feels lonely and decides to go for a run to lift her mood. But then, something strange happens. She realizes she's running faster than a motorcycle, taking long roads in mere seconds. Even more incredible, she starts leaping through the air like a superhero, amazed at her own abilities. She runs through the city laughing with joy, until she suddenly crashes into a large vehicle. But she's completely unharmed. In fact, when the truck nearly flips over, she grabs it and pushes it back upright, leaving the driver stunned at what just happened. Meanwhile, we see an elderly man waking up from a coma. He's been in for a year. His daughter is shot. She had hoped he'd die so she could inherit everything. But the man reveals he heard everything she said while he was unconscious. He now eats like a man in his 20s. The daughter is frustrated and goes to the hospital to confront the surgeon who operated on him. That's when she learns the man received the pancreas of the same superhuman donor. The doctor explains that no one knew the donor had supernatural traits. The next day, Minsu takes her father to a hospital. Before leaving, he warns her again not to run too much for her heart's safety. Once he's gone, Minsu rushes to a long street to test her powers. She senses someone watching her. It's a mysterious man filming her with his phone. When she approaches, he hides. But she finds him. She thinks he's a pervert and grabs him by the arms, nearly breaking them. But then she sees he has the same tattoo on his arm as hers. Shocked, she lets go. They talk, and he begs her not to tell her father about his powers. He explains that he received the superhuman's lungs, and now he can control the wind. To prove it, he takes a deep breath and blows down the street, causing a massive gust of wind that nearly destroys everything nearby. Minsu is amazed. The man tells her that there are 4 others like them because 6 organs were donated. You and I are too. That means 4 more are out there, he says. He asks her to help him find the others and form a team. Meanwhile, we meet a handsome young man walking confidently through the streets. He was given the eyes of the Superhuman. Now he can see energy, hack systems, and extract any information he wants, better than any elite hacker. With just a snap of his fingers, he can access anything. He uses his powers to become rich, gambling and winning every bet, buying expensive clothes, and living his dream life. Later, Minsu and the wind-powered guy decide to join the Olympics, hoping to identify the Superhuman. They identify other superpowered recipients, since many athletes in these games received organ donations. Minsu wins the sprint easily and takes first place. The crowd cheers wildly. As they rest and observe other competitors, a kind woman approaches them, offering free juice. She says she had a kidney transplant. The guy suspects she might be another superhuman. He checks her arms for tattoos but doesn't find any, so they start to walk away. But then, the woman bends over and he spots a tattoo on her back. He says, "I'm not a superhuman." They realize she is one of them. They sit down and talk with her, but she doesn't know anything about her powers. The guy demonstrates his abilities again, blowing away chairs and tables with his breath. The woman is stunned. Minsu asks her if she noticed any changes after her surgery. The woman thinks for a moment and says, "My skin has become flawless, and now everyone is mesmerized by my beauty." Minsu feels frustrated. She's sure she has some kind of superpower, but she still doesn't know what it is. As they sit together, the handsome guy says, "I'm not a superhuman. I'm a superhuman." He suddenly bursts in. With a flick of his hand, he turns off the lights and plays music. Using his powers, he hacks into all their phones and starts revealing personal information no one else should know. The kind woman claps for him and asks him to be their leader, but the mysterious guy gets jealous. He refuses and asks, why should he be the leader? He's younger than me and just showing off. He pretends to have important work and tries to leave. Minsu sarcastically asks, "Work? You've been hanging around with me for 2 days doing nothing. What work?" With pride, he reveals that he's a writer of superhero stories and movies. He's a writer of novels. But everyone laughs at him because he's not famous. Embarrassed, he uses his power, blowing away some doctors nearby, and storms off, thinking they'll beg him to return. But no one does. Minsu simply shouts, "At least pay for the food." We then shift to the elderly, superpowered man, who believes he's been chosen by God to change the world and become a superhero. He rises dramatically from beneath the ground while seated on a throne, oozing charisma. His daughter walks in with a businessman who wants to do a project with her father to make millions. She leaves them alone to talk, but the businessman starts mocking the old man, calling him crazy. He even sits on the throne, infuriating the elder. He curses at him, calling him useless. The businessman tries to punch him, thinking he's weak, but the elder grabs him by the neck and the man starts to weaken, as if his life force is being drained. At the same time, the elder starts looking younger and more vibrant. He realizes his superpower is absorbing people's life energy. To confirm, he places his hand on a tree. It withers and dies instantly. He laughs, knowing he's become even stronger. His daughter is horrified by what she sees. She goes to the hospital and demands the truth from the doctor. The doctor reveals that 6 organs were transplanted into 6 different people, including her father. Now she knows that all recipients must have gained powers, and she orders her assistant to track them down so she can steal their organs and harness their powers for her own goals. Meanwhile, at her factory, a worker gets badly injured. Another worker rushes to call an ambulance, but their manager, who has the same tattoo, shows up and simply places his hand on the injured man. He heals him instantly. We learn he received the superhuman's liver, and his power is healing. But the healing exhausts him, and to recover, he must drink water. The more people he heals, the more water he needs. He gulps down bottles just to return to normal. The next day, Minsu and the mysterious guy are playing with their powers. Suddenly, he sneezes and accidentally blasts her far away. Terrified, he thinks she's dead, but she quickly returns, unharmed, joking, "Easy with the sneezing. That way, I'll be fine." That was intense. They sit and talk. He asks about her life, and she shares that, because of her illness, she couldn't finish school and has always felt lonely. That's why she wants to gather a team of people like her. The mysterious guy is moved, but warns her, not all of us are good. Some people turn evil when they gain power. That handsome guy? He might be one of them. Don't trust him. Minsu assures him, I'll protect us all. She reaches out to shake his hand, but her strength nearly breaks his arm. Suddenly, the kind woman arrives and excitedly says, I've finally discovered my power. She holds out a juice box and shouts, they all stare in confusion. What kind of power is this supposed to be? She feels disappointed, thinking she's the only one with a tattoo on her back and no real powers. Minsu comforts her, saying maybe it'll reveal itself with time. Suddenly, the handsome guy sends a message to Minsu, saying he's in danger and needs soon. He was caught by a gang leader who was frustrated that every time the handsome guy entered his gambling den, he'd win all the money. Furious, he kidnapped him. Scared and unable to fight, the handsome guy uses his powers to send his location to Minsu. Just then, the mysterious guy bursts in, and the handsome one is thrilled, until he learns that the guy only came because he had diarrhea and rushed to the bathroom.